Hey, back for part 2 here. So we were just talking about the tops of the cameras. They're pretty comparable. The biggest difference between the two of them is the Sony has the microphone on the top, and then just the position of the mode dial versus the shutter button and zoom. The Sony's is a little strange, although it seems strange at first, but it does really work with how your hand naturally fits with the grip of this camera. I think the Canon's is a little bit more natural just because it has this really thick, chunky grip. It gives you something very substantial to grip onto, but it doesn't have any sort of a grip on the back. The closest thing is the play and shoot mode switch, which is I kind of have used as a finger grip, but it's a poor substitute for having an actual sort of grip surface like this camera does. So when we turn them on, I'll turn them on so we can get a good look at the screen difference. The Sony definitely has this nice, big, giant... Oh, well, hi, I'm on there twice, and now guess what? I'm going to be on there... 3 times. This is insane. There are 3 of me! That's creepy. But you can see how much bigger the Sony's screen is. It's a lot of real estate. I mean, because you don't have the optical viewfinder, you have a lot of extra real estate. The Canon, along with the optical viewfinder, has status indicator lights for flash. It has the output speaker for when you're watching videos on it, and then it's got the 4-way controller and then 4 buttons around that, and then the center button. They do various things, and then it has a switch between shoot mode and play mode. The Sony on the back, turn this off, has the 4-way controller with 3 buttons around it. They're a little bit different configuration as far as the buttons go. Oh, look at that, that's kind of weird, but the reflection off the screen on the camera, that's kind of funny. It's got 4 buttons for your various controls. It has a button for play mode, which I like because it allows you to do this. It allows you to turn on the camera directly into play mode and look at pictures without having to turn the camera on, use a separate button, and then you can just hit the shutter and it takes you right into shooting mode, which I like. That's something that I'm very used to being able to do with my SLRs. It's one of the things that kind of annoys me about this Canon is I have to flip the switch between play and shoot mode, whereas on my SLRs, when you're in play mode, all you have to do is hit the shutter and it takes you right into shoot, so you can shoot in seconds. This has a lot different functions of the rear buttons. They both have a delete button. The nice thing about this one is the delete button doubles as an exposure compensation button, which is nice to be able to have a direct button for exposure compensation input. This also has a dedicated picture bridge button and rotate button, which really I've never used. I don't necessarily see the use for. It lets you print pictures right off the camera on a compatible printer. It's not something I've ever used or ever plan on using. They both have a direct flash. All 4 points on this one have a separate function. The Canon only has a separate function for the top button. Actually has a separate function as the basically a menu button for changing your shooting settings on the Canon. There's also the Sony's, the display doubles as that. It also has a flash mode, shooting mode, and a direct control for your face detect, which this camera doesn't do face detection, and smile detection, smile shutter. This has a display, so it has a direct changer display. The Sony does as well, and then it's got a menu button, and this has you actually have to physically set macro mode for focus on the Canon. This one, the Sony actually, when you're in the intelligent auto mode, it detects when you're going to shoot macro. It gauges the focus distance and says, "Oh, hey, you're trying to take a macro picture. Here, you can focus closer." And that's actually kind of a neat thing. I'm actually really excited about the auto scene mode. I've never really used anything like that, and I've never really used scenes on cameras before. I think it's going to be... I want to start thinking about it with using one of these, with using this camera, because I think it could be really useful, just from a standpoint of, I don't want to have to think when I use this camera. And it's the same case with this one, but I tried to think too much. And I mean, it does have the various modes. I'll just go through the modes on this one too. On this has a manual, aperture priority, shutter priority. Canon calls them weird things. I don't know, it's Canon. Program auto, full auto, like a portrait mode, landscape mode, night portrait. I have no idea what that one is. Maybe it'll tell me when I turn the camera on and put it in that. Kids and pets. Indoor, which it looks like party for some strange reason. It has a scene select too that has various other scenes that you can select between. It's like beach, fireworks, aquarium, underwater, night scene, foliage, snow. Those are the different ones on that one. It also has the panorama stitch mode, stitch assist, and then movie. The Sony, we have movie mode, which does do full HD movies. It has the sweet panorama, which again, that's a really neat feature. Full manual mode, which is interesting. I haven't played around with that at all. It does have a full manual mode. It doesn't actually have a lot of selectable apertures, which is kind of disappointing, but not a big deal. Again, like, I'm not going to try and be as creative taking pictures with this camera as I am with my SLRs again. It has program auto, pretty standard. It has the intelligent auto adjust. I'm not exactly sure of all of the different modes that this has off the top of my head. I'm too lazy to look it up right now. I'll post a link to the imaging resource review of this camera, so that goes through some more of what the different modes are. And then easy mode, which is full auto, and then scene select, which gives us, it gives a high sensitivity, soft snap, shoot with subject in the soft background, so it's a nice portrait mode basically. Advanced sports shooting, landscape, pet, gourmet, which is a natural shot of food, which is an interesting sort of a mode to have in a camera. Twilight, not the stupid movies and books that are Mormon allegory for sex, actually at night, and Twilight portrait. I've heard one of these things is how these work is it takes a bunch of the Twilight, the handheld Twilight mode on these Sony cameras. It takes a bunch of pictures and then sort of composites together. I think this one does that, or it might be one of the more expensive ones that you need to do to have that. Let's see, I need to keep going through these. It has beach, snow, and fireworks mode, which are all pretty standard, I think, on a lot of these different cameras. One of the really helpful kind of neat things that this does too is, so when you change between, so when you're in this, it actually, up there it goes to focus, it actually gives you a little description of what the different modes are, and then when you switch between different modes on the camera, it tells you what all they are, which I think is actually very, very helpful. It gives you this nice interface. I think Sony does have some very nice user interface stuff. I really like the user interface on my SLR. I've heard some of their newer stuff isn't quite so good, but I haven't used any of the newer ones. I have an A700, and that's what I use for my more creative stuff, my more interesting stuff. But that's pretty much it, and soon I'll have some pictures with these. I've already taken a few. You can see this is a comparison between my A700 with a Tamron 17-50 f2.8. This is at f2.8, so it's got a really narrow depth of field. Let me move this camera in a little bit closer. I'll just pick it up here. It's going to get kind of jiggly. Flip the screen around so I can see what I'm doing. I don't know how well this is going to really show up. This is with the new Sony, and then this last one is with the Canon. The Canon actually had a lot of trouble focusing on those flowers that are next to my fence. As far as color goes, I think the Sony is a little bit duller color. I don't think that's showing up very well. Of course, I'm looking at this on the LCD on my video camera, but that's that. So my time is up here, and so I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully this is helpful to you, or maybe not, but I made it, so I hope you guys watch it and enjoy. Catch you later.